What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Good Game Reviews. Here to do another game review, and we are done with Week 8. Patriots unfortunately fall to 2-5. Final score of the game was 21-24. Bills win. Damian Harris said something interesting, and I believe other members of the Patriots said it before, but he said that there's no such thing as moral victories. I hope I'm not misquoting him, but that was pretty much the gist. There's no such thing as moral victories. A loss is a loss at the end of the day, and this was a very unfortunate loss because unlike the past 2 weeks where the Patriots failed to, drive it down the field, failed to get stops at key moments, didn't put up, any type of points whatsoever except for maybe the Broncos game where they had the one rushing touchdown by Cam. But other than that, I mean, for the past 2 weeks, this offense just was not moving. And it's weird that the quote unquote starters, who weren't able to participate in this game, the big guys, Nikhil and Julian Edelman, as far as the receiving core goes, they were absent, and these kind of like this corp of backups came in and seemed a lot more productive than the regular starters. I mean, people are already calling for Jacoby Myers to pretty much take all of N'Keal Harry's time. So I mean, it just goes to show you how much Jacoby's improved since last year. But let me go ahead and get into the good because I like to do the good and I like to do the bad, and I like to start off with the good. So let's go ahead and get into it. Cam Newton. Now, a lot of you will be surprised, with me putting Cam Newton in the good category. But just hold on. Let me go ahead and explain. For the most part, Cam Newton he had his struggles in this game. He was off target on some throws. He wouldn't step into some of his throws. Some of the things that we have been seeing for the past 2 weeks. But he was looking a lot comfortable in this game. He was making good passes. He was making good reads. He was escaping the pocket a lot more successfully than we've seen him, escape in, these last couple of games. I gotta say, I was impressed by, what he was able to do. I mean, he had 54 yards on the ground, so he was doing a lot better than he's been doing the past, 2 weeks in terms of, getting out and using his legs. Now, Cam Newton, he was able to have a little bit. He was able to have a little bit more of success in terms of the passing game because Jacoby Myers. Now, maybe this is more in favor of Jacoby Myers than Cam Newton, but I feel like they kind of helped each other out because they have this kind of chemistry that we're already getting a chance to experience. Jacoby Myers, if I can go ahead and hop on him. He had 10 targets, 6 receptions, 58 yards, averaged 9.7. He didn't get a score. There were no passing scores in this game, but I mean, to see him just come in, he was pretty much forced in a starting role. He was pretty much like last year, where all these guys you think you were going to have, they all go, and so now he has to step up. And he's stepping up more than he stepped up last year. He's coming in, he's getting open, getting separation, making catches, making plays. I mean, the kid's he's playing real good. He's playing real good. And I would not be surprised if N'Keal Harry saw a significant drop as far as snap counts go. Because he, in my opinion, he's earning it. Bill Belichick likes to talk about, you got to earn your time out there. Well, he's definitely earning it. If I can shine some light on, some more people, I'll go ahead and I'll move to Damian Harris, who yet had another 100-yard rushing game, 102 yards, average 6.4 on the ground, 1 touchdown. I mean, he's doing nicely. I know Sony is scheduled to come back, soon. He was removed from the COVID reserve list. He's still on IR, but soon he'll be able to be removed from that. we have to see what happens with this situation, because it's looking like Damian Harris is, he's the RB1, and it's kind of safe to say at this point that Sony Michel is going to be losing a lot of snap counts. They still like to use Rex Burkhead a lot. James White is being used a little bit more in terms of the last few weeks. I mean, I don't see Sony Michel getting that same role that he had back. I think he pretty much lost that to Damian Harris. As far as other players who kind of stood out to me, J.C. Jackson is probably the bright spot of this defense, and I have to admit, I had to kind of hold my chest a little bit when I saw him go down, with what I thought was maybe like a lower leg injury or ankle injury, but he was grabbing around like the shin or whatever, or around the calf or something. So I wasn't sure what was going on. Turns out it was just like a cramp or something. He stood out one play. Once the defense got back on the field, he was out there. He was running around. So it was good to see. He was able to get a pick. He's been pretty nice these past couple weeks, and he's pretty much been the best cornerback, on our team, which makes it more obvious that maybe the Patriots are shopping Gilmore because they feel like they have their new number one guy, and maybe they don't need Stephon Gilmore as much as they probably thought coming into the season, and now they can hear trade offers. But I mean, hey, I like Stephon Gilmore, I really do, but if he's not playing the same, if he's not showing the same consistency that he was showing last year, and we have another guy who's stepping up, a younger guy who is playing much better this year, then I'm with it. Juwan Bentley able to get a sack this game. I wish I could give Juwan Bentley some props, but I'm gonna just go ahead and say he got the sack, only sack. Leave it at that. But we're gonna get back on Juwan Bentley once we get to the other side of things. And another good news, not so much as far as numbers, but just a nice presence to see. Josh Uche came in the game, immediately made a play. It was on a third down and long situation. He's on the opposite side. He's rushing. You had Chase Winovich in the play. He was on the left side of the line. Chase Winovich gets a nice push. He's forcing Josh Allen to the right. At the same time, Josh Uche is getting a nice push on the right side. He breaks off, gets in Josh Allen's face, causes him to rush the throw. He's trying to get it to Zach Moss. It falls incomplete. Fourth down. Punting team comes up. Pretty much. So that's pretty much how that play went. And I just thought we need, as far as other Patriots fans go, we're thinking we need more of this. We need to see more of this. And another guy, I feel he probably should have started a little bit over. I want to say Tayshaun Bauer. Yes, Tayshaun Bauer, who was number 96 out there. I feel like Tayshaun Bauer had a little bit more time than he should have, and some of that could have probably been regulated to Josh Uche. But yeah, Josh Uche, I hope he gets some more playing time. I really do, because I see something in him. But that was the good. Oh wait, my apologies. Damian Harris was able to get a score, running score late in the game. So did Cam Newton also. So those were the 2 touchdowns on the day that the Patriots were able to get. So let's go ahead and move on. Also, Nick Folk did his thing. He didn't miss any kicks. I feel like I got to shout out Nick Folk because I give him a hard time. He didn't do anything wrong this game. He was solid. All right, moving on. As far as the bad goes, now here's where some of those old issues, from previous games comes up. And the first thing I'm going to tackle, and you already know, is turnovers. The Patriots were able to go pretty much, turnover-less through the whole game until one particular moment. This is late game, 37 seconds left on the clock. You're in enemy territory. You're in the red zone. You have the potential to score. They haven't been able to stop the run. The Bills have been abysmal at stopping the run. And at this point, you're just cutting through them like Swiss cheese. Every running play works. It doesn't even matter. And Cam Newton keeps the ball himself, runs around, appears like he's going to, either get the first down or get close to it or whatever. He's running to the left. A player comes, hits him. He drops the ball. He tries to kind of recover it while he's on the ground, but he can't. Bills recover the ball. Game over. This is when the score is 24-21. You have the chance to go down the field. And if you happen to not even get the score, you still have some time left. You still have a timeout left. You can kick the ball, tie it up, go into overtime, and whatever happens, happens. If you get the ball, then you can just go back to doing the running thing, and they're not going to be able to stop it. They were not able to stop the running game late in the game, especially in the fourth quarter. But I mean, for whatever reason, I guess Cam Newton wasn't paying attention, or maybe the ball just got away from him. But ball security, this has been an issue for Cam Newton for these past few weeks. And obviously, I know it devastated him. They showed a shot of him on the sideline, and it just looked like he was about to break down because once again he had a chance to win this game, and he let it slip through his hands. So, I mean, it's hard not to jump on Cam Newton because he makes all of these mistakes, and it's a constant thing over and over and over again. But I feel like we can back off, maybe just a little bit. I don't want to, be like, all right, we need to trade this guy out right now, yada, 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 all that. If I can be honest, I just feel like, I don't want to be that guy who talks about luck and all that stuff. But I mean, we can kind of be honest. Like a lot of these games have ended in, some kind of misfortunate ways. We haven't got the draw. We haven't really got the draw to stick like we, tend to do a lot. And it's just, one of those things that happens with, every team. It seems like, every year there's a team who comes so close to winning the game, and for some reason they just let it slip through their fingers. I mean, it is what it is. That's just football. And yes, ball security is very important. He should have hung on to that ball, but it just seems like these things have been happening. It's just, if it isn't one thing, it's something else. So I don't know. It's just a weird season altogether. And Patriots fans are getting used to looking at a season like this. And I mean, it's not easy, but it is what it is. As far as other negatives go, still need a little bit more production from, a lot more production from this wide receiver core. Demir Bird, he did what he could. He had 3 receptions, 39 yards, but it's still not enough, especially considering that you're the number 2 guy now, or if he's not the number 2 guy, he's possibly the number 1 guy. I'm not so sure, but you have to step up now that N'Keal Harris N'Keal Harris can come back. He was on concussion protocol. He can come back next week, but I mean, from what we've seen from N'Keal Harris, I don't think it's getting any better. Julian Edelman's going to be out for a few weeks. Most likely, I just think this is probably like his last run. I don't know if he's gonna, want to keep playing as far as like next season goes. That's just what I think. But Demir Bird, you have to step up. At least this season, you have to step up. You have to get some, some more things going. Tight end situation still not pretty, still not attractive to look at. I mean, he did better than he usually did. Izzo, he had 2 receptions and 24 yards, but that's still pathetic. I felt it confusing that at the beginning of the game they gave out the inactive list, and both of the rookie tight ends were inactive for this game. Now, I know Dalton King was dealing with an injury, but Devin Asiasi, I mean, he's pretty much been a healthy scratch these few games that we've seen. So I'm not sure what it is. I am just confused, and it makes a lot of people look at it like we just wasted a whole third round on these two guys, and it does appear that way, considering how they've been used, or more likely how they haven't been used. And it's just it's just weird to see. Now, I said I was going to get back on Jawan Bentley, and here's the thing. Jawan Bentley, he does a few things great. I like, seeing him in the run game, but I don't know what it's been lately. It just seems like he does, like, the one thing that you think you can depend on him for, it's just not there. When I saw him come in, I was looking at his Purdue tape. Excuse me, I'm trying to say his name right. Purdue. I was looking at his college tape, and one thing that stood out to me was he seemed like a sure tackler. He seemed like a strong tackler. Great at stopping the run, but those things aren't being seen this season. He's every time, it just seems like as soon as he makes contact, he's the first one to make contact, but as soon as he hits the runner, as soon as he hits whoever has the ball in his hands, they just slip past them and they get some extra yards, and that just seemed to be a consistent thing that was happening almost every time during the game. It just seemed like he just couldn't stop plays from happening, especially on the ground. We already know that he's not the best at pass coverage, so they don't try to use him a lot like that. But I mean, it's just evident that he wasn't getting those stops. So, and if that's not bad enough, now he's out. He left the game because he got hurt, and Josh Uche was like pretty much forced to step up in his place for the remainder of that time. So I mean, we still don't know what his status is. Lawrence Guy went down also in the game. Not sure what his status is. Just a lot of mess all over, And speaking of messes, John Simon, I mean, please turn your head around. If the quarterback doesn't have the ball and there's a whole bunch of motion going on in a particular area, turn your head around and investigate, see what's going on. I mean, John Simon is just out there looking lost. But that was pretty much the name of the game. I mean, at times, they couldn't stop the run. It just seemed like it was too easy for, Buffalo to run the ball. Devin Singletary averaged 6.1 on the ground. Moss averaged 5.8 on the ground. It just didn't look like Patriots football, like what we've been used to, especially on the defense. It just seems like it's too easy for teams to move the ball on us now, and it's not just an area or two or three. There's a whole bunch that has to, be looked at. And going into the trade deadline once again is on November the 3rd. We're going to be looking at what moves are going to be made, and I'm thinking more on the lines of there's going to be some people, being traded off instead of people, being brought in via trade. So, keep your eyes on that. Patriots sitting at 2-5. Now, really, to be realistic, this, we might just need to focus on next season. But I'll say this: you still have the chance to either go 11-5, or you have a chance to, go 10-6. And if the Patriots could still find a way to go 10-6 at this point, considering, what they're looking like right now, if the Patriots are able to go 10-6 at this point, I'll be happy. I'll be happy with a 10-6 season or an 11-5 season, especially an 11-5 season. That just means no more losing from here on out. So, I mean, keep your fingers crossed, if you want to. But I'll say that it's not completely just out of here. Buffalo does have the game on you now, though. They got the one win on you, and depending on how they look going through the rest of the season, this might be it for you. They're sitting at 6-2. They're feeling comfortable. Meanwhile, you're sitting at 2-5, not looking good. But if that's not enough, Dolphins also was able to come away with a win against the Rams. So now you're even in more of a sticky spot. But depending on how things go, we don't know. There's still a sliver of a chance. But realistically, I feel like they should just be looking towards, rebuilding this team and looking at the weak spots, because we've been ignoring a lot of spots on this team, and they need to be addressed. We need to address these weaknesses if we want to be a competent football team. But that's all I have for the game. That's all, highlights I got for that. All the news, injuries, report, yada yada. That's pretty much it. So next week, Patriots are going up against the Jets. Jets, surprise, surprise, also lost. They were playing Kansas City, so Jets are winless as of right now, and looking like a surefire shot to get that number one draft pick. So they are the next opponent. Let's see how that plays out. Hopefully the Patriots can at least pull this game off. If they can't pull this game off, then, forget about it. We just need a clean house. Just dump off everybody, because that would be embarrassing. But like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Till next time, I'm out.